We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Dallas officials approve Oaklawn Church's rainbow steps as temporary art, affirming faith, inclusion, and LGBTQ+ dignity for 3 years.
As Trump's second term begins, HRC reports rising fear amongst the LGBTQ+ Americans and calls for resistance rooted in visibility, values, and courage.
A queer man was attacked on a New York City subway after kissing his boyfriend in an alleged anti-LGBTQ+ hate crime.
Trump administration removes rape safeguards for transgender ICE detainees, prompting alarm over abuse, medical neglect, and punitive detention policies nationwide.
Saturday Night Live parodies queer hockey romance via raunchy Harry Potter sketch, drawing big views and mixed LGBTQ+ reactions online. All this important LGBTQ+ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 11 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice and our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Tuesday, January 20th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show. Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the world's largest nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. Hotspots Happening Out is a proud beneficiary of the 2026 Florida AIDS Walk, standing strong by our healthcare pillar. Funds raised and matched for dollar support our HIV policy reform and educational programs, include the MSM conference. We invite you to donate and join us on March 21st to walk in the support of the Hotspots Happening Out teams.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary. With more than 11,000 LGBTQ television stories, we present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fete. Our magazine, events, and television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Will Haas. Will is a bi-coastal real estate professional and is the past president of South Florida's most popular gay social club, the Bears of South Florida. He also serves as a realtor with Exit Realty of Naples and an advisory board member of Freedom Waters. Will, kick off the season with Rainbow Kickers on January 25th. Tell me what's happening out.
Rainbow Kickers is kicking off its next season with an in-person registration and skills day on Sunday, January 25th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Fleischman Park football fields. This fun, welcoming event is open to all skill levels and will include players, sign-up, skills practice, and a friendly scrimmage to get everyone game ready. Official league games begin the week of February 1st. Learn more and register at rainbowkickers.com. So I'm so excited to get this back up and running. Yeah, I'm not the best player, but I have fun. And what's even better is people come watch and we do cocktails and brunch afterwards.
See, that's the good part.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's the part, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there are balls that I play with that usually don't involve kicking, but I'm always there for a cocktail meet.
As am I.
Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Rainbow Kickers on January 25th. Let's welcome anchor Brian Bender. Brian Bender is a lifelong South Floridian, Broward County teacher, community volunteer and leader, and proud member of the Dolphin Democrats. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here to talk about all the fun and interesting things that are happening in the community.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Bishop Durrell Watkins, the senior minister at Sunshine Cathedral, one of the most important LGBTQ churches in the world. He's an auxiliary bishop at the Global Justice Institute and the current president of Divine Science Federation. Welcome to the show, Durrell.
Thank you. I'm always happy to be here, and I'm always happy to peddle my wares. So the first thing is I want you to know is that on the 22nd, that's Thursday, it's just a couple of days from now, Nico Lang will be here to do a book signing. He'll give a talk and do a book signing in the Cathedral Pub. There's no charge, even though it's the pub, there's no charge. He's just giving his talk and he has books to sign. Nico Lang is a non-binary author, and his book, American Teenager, is about the trans experience of youth in America. So that's fascinating. There's no charge. You can learn more about it at sunshinecathedral.org. Go to the speaker series, and you'll learn about him and what he'll be doing. Then on the 24th, and as pastors have done time immemorial, I'm plugging a drag show, on January the 24th, Varla Jean is back. She comes every year, usually January, and just packed house and beloved. And even though she's internationally known, she's actually a Florida resident. So come see our friend and neighbor and superstar, Varla Jean, on the 24th. That is not free, but you can get tickets at sunshinecathedral.org/arts. Then on the 30th is Miss Richfield 1981. She's here most years, always with a new show. And so you can learn about that at sunshinecathedral.org/arts. Get your tickets there. And then finally, at the end of the month is Ann Steele, beloved Ann Steele, voice of an angel. Lesbians love her because she's a lovely lesbian, but gay men adore her also, and music lovers love her for obvious reasons. So she always gives a great concert. She's a headliner of concerts and cruises and cabarets. So you'll want to come see her on January the 31st. And guess where her tickets can be found? sunshinecathedral.org/arts.
I'm looking forward to those shows. I love Varla Jean and Miss Richfield. Yeah, I've seen them multiple times, and it's always a good laugh. A lot of fun.
It is. They're fun.
I'm so excited. I feel like I might have to have like a session praying like that. It's happening in a church, but
Yes.
it's so cool.
Yes, we were very proud of our performing arts series, and it's one of the biggest things we've got going on. Trends nationally, internationally, for actually worship services are on the decline, and there's lots of reasons for that, mostly good ones. But we're very committed to being a community, a supportive, loving community, justice-seeking, LGBTQ celebrating, not just affirming, and so we do that in as many ways as possible. And one of those ways is with the arts.
I really resonated when it said there's a pill for that. Like, wow, sign me up. I want to see that show.
Exactly. I think she and I share a doctor. I'm Bishop Durrell Watkins, and let's queer up faith. Dallas Landmark Commission unanimously approves church's Rainbow Steps. The Rainbow Steps at Oak Lawn United Methodist Church in Dallas are here to stay, at least for now. The city's Landmark Commission unanimously approved the church's rainbow-painted staircase as a temporary art installation, granting permission for 3 years. The late Gothic Revival building is both a local landmark and listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The steps were painted last October as Texas Governor Greg Abbott carried out a Trump-era order to remove rainbow crosswalks across the state, including one outside the church itself. Church leaders called the action an expression of faith. Senior pastor Rachel Griffin Allison said, quote, "Silence in the face of harm always sides with the oppressor. Painting our steps in the colors of the rainbow is a visible witness to the gospel we preach, that every person is created in the image of God and worthy of safety, dignity, and belonging," end quote. At a packed public meeting, every speaker supported keeping the steps. After the vote, Griffin Allison said the decision, quote, "filled my heart, and 3 years is great," end quote. I lived in Dallas for 10 years, and for most of that time in or near the neighborhood. And that's where this church is, on the edge of the neighborhood. And it's an old historic church. They have been gay affirming since ever. And they've always been sort of one of the places that gay people can be if they want spiritual community. And so it doesn't surprise me that they've done this in a very creative way. If we can't paint the street, surely we can paint our property. And I resonate with that because here at the Sunshine Cathedral, 2 of our 3 buildings are slathered in rainbows and rainbow colors. And so that your property is a witness. This is a safe place, a welcoming place, an affirming place, a place where you'll be celebrated for who you are. And she's right, that is the gospel message, that every person has sacred value and every person should be treated with dignity and respect and love. Love your neighbor as yourself, that kind of thing. So I'm glad they're doing it, and I hope it encourages other churches and organizations to be as creative and as resistant with their art.
But we saw that in the picture, and it made you smile. Just seeing the steps painted, yeah, it's great, great creativity, and it's a good pushback to take my crosswalks, but I'm painting my steps.
Exactly.
As a Jewish person myself, if I lived in Texas, if I lived in that part of Dallas, I might just want to join that church just because it feels like such a safe place to, hear a nice word and feel affirmed. So I think that's I think it's a wonderful thing, and I just hope that they can keep it for longer than 3 years.
Yeah. Dallas, to be in the Bible Belt and to be in conservative Texas, actually has a thriving LGBT community, and that includes religious spaces. All of the Reconstructionist, Reform congregations are gay-friendly, Jewish congregations. There's another Methodist church sort of in the suburbs, well known for being, there's an Episcopal church on the edge of the neighborhood. There's the Cathedral of Hope in the neighborhood. Like, if you're going to be gay in a hateful state, that's a pretty good city to be in. Not as good, of course, as Fort Lauderdale.
I'm William Haas, and let's clear up the USA View. HRC warns LGBTQ plus Americans are disappearing under Trump, unveils a plan to fight back. As President Donald Trump begins his second term, the Human Rights Campaign says queer Americans are retreating from public life. And it's time to push back. Speaking in Washington, D.C., HRC President Kelly Robinson said fear is shaping our daily lives. Parents hide who they are at their children's schools. Workers shrink themselves to keep their jobs. And couples think twice before holding hands on the street. Robinson said, quote, "These are harrowing times. The emergency that we warned about is no longer a warning. It is the reality that we are living inside," end quote. HRC released 2 reports outlining both damage and a strategy for resistance. Nearly half of the LGBTQ plus adults say they are less out now than a year ago. More than half said they are less visible. 2/3 transgender and non-binary people report difficulty accessing health care. Robinson's accused administration nationalized culture war policies that weaken civil rights and public health protections. HRC new playbook urges candidates to go on the offense, reject fear-based messaging, and lead with shared values. After the event, Robinson had a message for the LGBTQ plus people, pulling back from public life, quote, "You are enough. Every day that you show up being exactly who you are is as much resistance as you've got to have." This is a shame that, we're in 2026 and we're still fighting for basically equal rights again, all over again. And people should not live in fear in our country. People should want to come here, and you should feel safe. There should be a country where people just, they're free to be you and me.
Right. And the intimidation is intentional. And of course, you've got to be safe. But for those who feel like they can risk it or that they have to risk it, being out, being who you are, celebrating who you are, that's our biggest weapon, because what they want is to erase us. And so if all we can do is not be erased, that's something. And so, we're here. They're not getting rid of us, and we need not let them delude themselves into thinking they're getting rid of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, they want us to think twice before we step out of our homes and be visible. They want us to fear our neighbors. And right. I think a revolutionary act in these times is to be unafraid.
Exactly.
So if we could just be unafraid, even if that's just affirming to ourselves that we are, as you say, Pastor, created in God's image. Mm-hmm. I am created in God's image. I'm going to step out of this house and I'm going to do everything that I can to keep myself safe, but also know that, maybe there's somebody upstairs watching. So hopefully that's the case.
It's always good to be safe and cautious, but you have places like the church in Dallas and Sunshine Cathedral where you could be yourself, enjoy shows with people of like minds, and that's important.
Find safe places for sure where you can be all of you and celebrate and places that do celebrate you. And there's so many places in Fort Lauderdale. We've got the bars, we've got the political organizations, the sports organizations, and the religious organizations, and the arts organizations. It's a great place to be, but super needed right now so that you can just breathe and feel safe living your life. I'm certainly older than you. I'm probably 5 years one side or the other of you. P.S. I've been along. I remember I lived in states, Arkansas and Texas, during sodomy laws, where my every date, from Arkansas, every date was an offense against the law. Like I was breaking the sodomy law. I don't want to brag, but every day. Okay, not every day, but most
really.
Days. And no, but so I remember that. I remember the fight for marriage equality, and I remember those days. I went to seminary in New York. I remember those days when at Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral, when the priest would elevate the host and people in the congregation would throw up condoms. Simple protest, but to be seen and heard, because the government wouldn't even say the word AIDS for 7 years while people are dying. So, it feels like I've been through all this before, and I'm just too old and have faced too much. I risk it the first time around. I'm not going back now, although there are a lot of people in nursing homes, assisted living, that they're feeling like they have to because they're afraid they won't get proper care.
And that is such a shame. You make it to your golden years and you can't even have the dignity and respect that you're entitled to.
Right.
It's heartbreaking. It really is.
Did you see, looked at me straight on when he said golden years? Did you see how he did that? He just looked right in my face with golden years.
He looked right past me, so I'm good. He looked right past me, so
I look right past
I like you.
No, it's a serious time out there. And so, if you can be out even to just a few people, it's going to save your sanity. And we need you sane for when all this is over. We need to be in the cleanup crew to clean it up and build it back up.
And I do believe it will be over one day.
Yes.
I really think we as Americans, our government might not be exactly where we want it to be, but I think as a people we are moving in a positive direction, even though it doesn't always seem that way from national policy.
Exactly.
And if this is, when it comes time to vote, make sure you get out there and vote, because, just don't take it for granted.
Please vote. I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up the USA view. Kiss on New York City subway ends in violent anti-LGBTQ plus attack. A queer man was slashed in the face on a New York City subway train in what police are investigating as an anti-gay attack. According to the New York Police Department, the incident happened around 7:50 p.m. on January 10th, aboard a southbound number 6 train approaching 23rd Street Station. The 28-year-old victim was riding with his boyfriend when an unknown man allegedly saw the couple kiss. Police say the victim and the suspect became involved in what the NYPD described as a verbal dispute that included anti-gay statements. Moments later, the attacker struck the victim in the face with a sharp object, causing a laceration on the right side. The suspect then exited the train at 23rd Street and Park Avenue and fled on foot. The victim got off at 14th Street, Union Square, and was taken to Bellevue Hospital, where he is expected to recover. The suspect remains at large. The NYPD is urging anyone with information to contact at NYPD Tips or call 1-800-577-TIPS. And I hope they get this guy, whoever it was that slashed this guy in the face, because we as gay people and non-conforming people and any people that feel as though they're being marginalized, you're taking public transportation. You should be able to ride with the public and not feel like you're taking your life in your own hands. I used to live off the number 6 train. When I first moved to New York, I'm pushing almost 40, but in my early 20s, I needed an inexpensive place to live, and I lived off the number 6 in the Bronx. And it's an express train for part of the day, and then it goes local. And I always felt safe. And I don't know what I would do if I felt as though, it was unsafe and I was still living there. I feel for this person who was brutally attacked.
Violence is never an option. It's never the answer. They could have exchange of words. They could have difference of opinions, but you don't go just, slash somebody. And the guy's a coward. He put a mask on and ran away. You're not a hero. You're a coward, dude. And,
Although in this day, there's a job that he can get with the government with that same attitude and outfit. And I lived uptown, and the one train was my way about, and I never felt unsafe. But you aren't until you are. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, yeah, it was all good, but it just has to happen once, and then it's probably in your mind forever. Like the next time he's on a subway will be a huge act of courage for him.
PTSD.
Yes.
And if anybody has any tips, they can call 1-800-577-TIPS or at NYPD Tips. Let's get this guy. Whoever this was, they deserve justice.
And for the politicians who are trying to erase the trans community, who are demonizing the LGBTQ plus community, for the preachers like, no names, but Franklin Fram, that just preach hate, and they dehumanize and demonize and demoralize LGBTQ people. They fuel this. When you make your platform making queer people seem less than human, then you are giving people permission to treat them as if they are less than human. And so there's a lot of blame to go around. This person is solely responsible for what he did, and he has been subliminally encouraged by a lot of people, increasingly just in the last year, because of people who are in power.
I would say not even subliminally. I would say overtly. It's these hate preachers. Unfortunately, they don't have a sign that says "Welcome to the Hate Church." They say this is a loving place, and then all of a sudden, you've been sitting there for a while, and you hear these messages, and it's a horrible thing, and I just wish I wish for justice for both the victim and the perpetrator.
Absolutely. I'm Bishop Durrell Watkins, and let's queer up politics. Trump administration removes rape protections for trans people in ICE custody. The Trump administration has eliminated key rape protections for transgender people held in ICE detention centers and U.S. prisons, escalating concerns across the queer community. New guidance from the Department of Homeland Security applies to several privately run ICE facilities where nearly 69,000 people are currently detained, a record high. At the same time, the Department of Justice is working to roll back rules designed to protect LGBTQ plus people from sexual abuse in prisons. According to the American Prospect, at least 6 ICE detention facilities have updated contracts to remove safeguards against rape and other protections for trans inmates. Facilities in Arizona, New Mexico, Georgia, and Texas have also ended safety measures and halted medical care for trans detainees. The changes cite Trump's executive order calling defending women from gender ideology extremism and removing diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility language. Bridget Crawford of Immigration Equality said, quote, "Trans asylum seekers are typically in the U.S. because they've already endured incredibly high levels of sexual assault. They're coming here for protection, and they find themselves in immigration detention, which by law cannot be punitive, but we see that it is," end quote. The change comes amid ongoing allegations of abuse, medical neglect, and wrongful deportations of transgender immigrants, drawing condemnation from politicians, advocates, and celebrities nationwide. We don't even have enough time for me to go on the screed and the rant and the crazy that I want to go on. First of all, rape as a form of torture, like reprehensible is not a good enough word to describe that. It's completely evil, and that's what this amounts to. This is an inviting assault and abuse for already vulnerable people, the most vulnerable people in the system. And so if anyone needs protection and they're removing that, there is no justification. There's no moral, legal, spiritual, any person with any human conscience at all could not sign off on that. So, but that's what it is. It is punitive because they just had the nerve to be here. And beyond that, it is inviting violence that really could destroy, even end their lives, which makes it even more traumatizing because that may be why they were here to start with, to get away from that somewhere else. So yeah, this level of, I don't care about any your opinions about this or that, or your politics or religion or whatever. These are people. And when you single out people to be raped and to help facilitate that happen, to be tortured, to be tormented, I'm a universalist. I don't believe in hell. Moments like this make me angry that I don't believe in hell, because the worst hell you could dream up would be too good for the people who have set this up.
The cruelty is the point. I think that's the whole gist of it, is that, they just really want to penalize people for being their authentic selves, even if they don't agree with their expression of being their authentic self, they want to hurt them. And I don't see this as any other excuse other than this is just another way of hurting marginalized communities. And I'm not with this. And I think that is absolutely reprehensible. Not to get too religious, but there are certain things that are in league with, with forces of darkness or and I just think that this is, if there is such thing as sin, it is an absolute sin what this administration is doing to marginalized communities.
Well, that is the sin. Sin, the universe, God, the Great Mother, or whatever, couldn't care less that I smoked weed or said a swear or but what sin is when you hurt other people and when you do it intentionally.
You do it knowing.
That's sin.
Absolutely.
There are some detainees and there's also some people in jail, but they still have basic human rights. We need to protect their basic human rights. All these people we're in charge of them, because they're in our country, whether, detainees or in prison. We need to protect these people, not, turn the dogs on them and let them, loose and let them fend for themselves. That's just not right.
And let's get started on the commodification, the commercialization of prisons. These are private prisons who now don't even have to provide basic safety to their prisoners, some of whom haven't done anything wrong. They just got caught being a place that we decided they shouldn't be, that they didn't come through properly or do the paperwork or whatever. Meanwhile, they've committed usually no other crime at all.
Right.
They're still entitled to due process. And people who show up seeking asylum at the border, that's legal. Right. So there's just so many layers of just rottenness. And so what bothers me, okay, yes, they're evil. And yes, people who either share those values or turn a blind eye to them and put them in power. But then on top of that, religious communities who then defend it. There was a woman just a few weeks ago shot in the face in Minneapolis, and religious people immediately started defending the shooter. Like this woman in her car is killed, and somehow that was not universally condemned. Now, of course, a lot of people condemn. There's still some good humans in the country, but that's where we are, that religious people take up for the oppressor rather than the oppressed. That's sin. And that is blaspheming the gospel, because the gospel is meant to be good news to the poor and the marginalized. The poor is not only those who lack resources, they're those who lack dignity, protection, safety. The poor is those who experience lack. And so the gospel is meant to be good news for them. So if you're a religious community and you are celebrating the people who are bad news for them, that is not the gospel.
But the whole world just look at the United States as some place safe where they could be themselves and trust and go to be safe. And now, we're taking that away from everybody.
Yeah.
I would just like to say her name, Renee Good. I think that's a revolutionary act. Everybody's saying, say her name, and it's Renee Good. And let's not forget that this was a woman. She had a partner. She had a child. I think she might have had multiple children.
Three kids.
Yes. She was a queer mother.
She was a queer mother, and she, and it's really just a shame that she was doing her civic duty. And I don't like to use foul language, but I was listening to a commentator. Her crime was she was being a bitch in that moment, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that she was standing up to the powers that be.
Right.
They didn't like it, and she was executed, and her crime in their eye was she was a bitch, and she deserved to die.
And if someone was trying to open your car door, wouldn't you try to drive away?
Absolutely.
That's just impulse.
Absolutely.
And to make it worse, all of this is horrible. I think she had an elderly dog in the car too.
Yeah.
So even a pet is endangered. This is a school zone in a residential area. Why are you firing a gun anyway? This person, I don't know what his consequence will be, but it will not be enough, whatever it is.
I don't think there is going to be a consequence. They've given him what seems to be immunity. They've called her a terrorist, and we just have to wait for the winds of change and people protesting and getting angry enough, and just making their voices heard that Project 2025 is real, and this is all part of that, and the cruelty is the point. It's she was backing up very gingerly. There's people that I've seen, on these videos on TikTok and Instagram where people are doing reckless things in their car. She was probably going 5 to 10, maybe not even 10 miles an hour as she backed up to make a 3-point turn to get out of there. And it's devastating, because I might have never have known her in my lifetime. She was just one person, but knowing that she died because the powers that be just don't like a strong woman, you know, calling them out or witnessing their crimes. It's a cautionary tale for what happens when government overreaches.
And she was there as a witness. To make sure that the overreach that took her life did not happen.
Exactly. And she was caught up in that herself, and it's devastating.
So I know we got a little bit away from the detention centers, but it's all of a piece.
It is.
Because it's the same administration, it's the same attitude, it's the same people defending all of the evilness. And then when I talk about it as a clergy person, I will be accused of you being political. This is not my politics, this is my theology. My theology is, if that's what you are, if that's what you behave like, if you have no more decency about you than that, my theology is that you're a piece of shit. That's not my politics, that's my religion.
I'm William Haas, and Let's Queer Up Entertainment, SNL's Heated Wizardry, sparks queer cheers and side-eye. Saturday Night Live has officially welcomed queer ice hockey romance, Heated Rivalry, into pop culture infamy, parodying it with the raunchy Harry Potter sketch that's dividing the LGBTQ plus viewers. On Saturday's episode, guest host Finn Wolhoff starred in Heated Wizardry, a mashup that reimagines Harry Potter through horny lenses of heated rivalry. A voiceover announces the only thing hotter than ice hockey is Quidditch. Before Harry teases, "Catch me if you can, Weasley," during a broomstick chase. The sketch leans hard into innuendos, from wand jokes to late night texts asking a friend to slither into my bum. You will also catch Jason Momoa's Hagrid saying, "You're a homo, Harry." Just to be clear, Hogwarts is like college now. Online reactions mixed. While the video is currently over 3 million YouTube views, some fans object to linking Heated Rivalry with a J.K. Rowling's property. Others had a simpler gripe. Why Ron, not Draco? What do you think? Well, I'm personally going to think, Harry and Hagrid should really go, the father and son thing,
Wow.
daddy and son.
I didn't buy it though when he said, if you've seen it, he says, "Hagrid, you old queen." I did not buy looking at Jason Momoa. Yes, you old queen. But it was cute. He took it. He was a good sport about it.
I was just a great episode. It made me laugh. I mean, that's the way things make you laugh nowadays, and this actually made you laugh. And
well, I like to laugh, but anything with Jason Momoa in it, I'll laugh, I'll cry, I'll do whatever that man says. So,
wow.
He's definitely on my crush list. So I have to say that seeing him in the clip that we saw earlier today, I definitely perked right up.
And he played that part so well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really can't see, Harry and Ron Weasley. That doesn't work for me.
Well, that's his brother-in-law, isn't it? So already.
Trink on twink.
And I love that, J.K. Rowling has been so problematic with the trans community and the gay community at large. So to take one of her properties,
I love that,
and turn it into a gay in joke, whatever you want to call this, I think it's brilliant.
I wish they'd worked in an anti-turf spell or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That would have been perfect.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that they're sort of spoofing her.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Harry and Ron, but when Ron was a teen, when he was sort of the hunky one. He's kind of the frumpy one now. But in those days, I mean, if I would have expected him to grow up to be like this super hunky guy.
Or Harry and the Twins would even be going too.
Twins.
Harry and the Twins.
Now you're getting into my fantasy. But no, those were great movies. They turned out way better than they deserved to from their creator. But they were great books. And in fact, there's one of the Harry Potter book, The Sorcerer's Stone, I think. It's in my doctoral dissertation. I quote that in my doctoral dissertation. So, but I didn't know that she was mean like that. But anyway, it's that SNL. It's online. You can see it. So if you missed it on Saturday night, if you haven't seen it yet,
it's worth it.
Just Google it. It's going to be the best 3 minutes of your day, other than the minutes you've spent watching Queer News Tonight. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Alex and Henry are back with Red, White, and Royal Wedding. Are you ready? Good news for LGBTQ rom-com fans. Amazon MGM Studios confirms the Red, White, and Royal Blue sequel, officially titled Red, White, and Royal Wedding. Nicholas Galstein returns as Prince Henry, alongside Taylor Zachar Perez as Alex Claremont Diaz. Though the original novel had no sequel, this new chapter means audiences are experiencing the story fresh. Jamie Babbitt directs the sequel with Casey McQuiston and Matthew Lopez co-writing. Production began in January of 2026. As the stars teased online, they are so beyond back. I actually did watch the first one. This is what I thought of it. About 2 hours ago, I'd forgotten that I'd ever seen it. And then I remembered, I have seen it because my husband watches it about 3 times a week. I was like, it's just his religion or certainly his fetish. He loves that movie. So he's going to be so excited about the sequel. It's cute. I like it not well enough, but I have to say the stars are super handsome. So if for no other reason.
And who doesn't love a wedding?
And Queens.
Yeah.
I'm not about the monarchy, but I might be for this show.
Right?
Movie, whatever this is. So.
I can certainly be in service to the royal family in any case.
LGBTQ, 1 Minute News, let's queer up gay culture. SNL's Cam Patterson jokes the show is gay as fuck in new special. One Saturday Night Live's newest cast members is making headlines after calling the show, quote unquote, really gay. A new comedy special. Cam Patterson, a featured player in this season's Was on Netflix Is a Joke to Kill, Tony, Once Upon a Time in Texas, where he joked, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to keep it 100% with y'all. In the nicest way possible. It's gay. It's really gay, dog. It's gay as fuck. You know, Saturday night's going to be gay. I want to be watching it.
Right.
You know?
And there's always been gay undertones and gay innuendo, and sometimes just in your face. Remember when RuPaul hosted an episode? Like, of course it's gay. It's gay as fuck. Why do you think we like it? Now, because of the show he's associated with, I wonder, was that shade? Was that a compliment? Was it just a fact? Was it a joke? Like, I don't know his context, but I agree. It's gay as fuck. That's why I like it.
Yeah.
That's why I like it too. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA View. Nicki Minaj targets gay journalist Don Lemon with a homophobic slur. Nicki Minaj has sparked outrage after hurling a homophobic slur at gay journalist Don Lemon over his reporting on an ICE protest at a Minnesota church. Posting in all caps, Minaj called Lemon disgusting, adding, "How dare you?" and saying she wanted him in jail. Lemon told TMZ, "I'm not surprised Nicki Minaj does not understand journalism. However, the more appropriate image for her post is a pick-me doll." The incident comes amid Minaj's growing alignment with Trump and repeated anti-gay controversies. Well, let me just say this. I think that shade, I'm here all day for that. When you call somebody a pick-me, I am here for it. I thought Don Lemon unleashed on her. And I have to say, after Nicki Minaj got in league with Turning Point USA and getting on stage, I think a lot of this is she's an opportunist. Her family is involved in a lot of underage scandals.
Shady shit.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to be banking on the fact that she's currying favor with the administration right now. So I think she's trying to outdo herself when it comes to getting on the right-wing bandwagon. I'm sure she was before, but I think she's being extra vocal about it at this moment because she knows that she's going to need some things in her back pocket to help her out and her family.
To write a couple pardons out there. Let's say what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's disappointing though. I mean, you have to do what you want to do, I guess. But she has a platform, and with that comes some responsibility, and she could be advocating for people who are being hurt by this administration instead of being on the wrong side of things. But Don Lemon is super smart. And Don Lemon is super handsome. And Don Lemon, don't come for Don Lemon. You are not ready.
Wrong.
You were not ready for Don Lemon.
Yeah.
So
you don't want that smoke.
You do not want that. You were not ready for Don Lemon. So I'm glad you clapped back. And people are coming for journalists anyway, and for artists, and for intellectuals, and for curricula that include science and history. And they're forcing in 10 commandments. And so this is a really weird time. So that we have the Don Lemons of the world on the side of the angels, I super appreciate.
So let's end the story with Nicki, go away.
Yeah. Well, just one other thing. She no longer has an Instagram account. Thank you very much, queer community, for making sure that she had to leave her platform because nobody wants to hear what she has to say too much other than the people that listen to Turning Points.
See, Big Mama used to say, God don't like ugly.
And neither do we.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up gay culture. Fashion icon Valentino dies at 93. Legendary Italian fashion designer Valentino Garavani, known worldwide as Valentino, has died at the age of 93, his foundation confirmed in a breaking news update. In a statement on Instagram, the Valentino Garavani and Giancarlo Giametti Foundation said Valentino died on January 19th, peacefully in his Roman home, surrounded by the love of his family. Valentino co-founded his iconic fashion house in Rome in 1960 with his business and personal partner, Giancarlo Giametti, shaping decades of global style. He will lie in state in Rome ahead of a funeral on Friday. Lying in state, as is befitting a queen. There's also what I admire, but I'm not a fashion queer, but I appreciate nice looking things. But what I love about him is that he has, what was it now, almost 60 something years of business success, artistic success, and romantic success with his partner. So those are gay goals for sure. And lived to be 93 doing it.
He was so young.
Bless his memory. Well,
but he was an entrepreneur, and and people respected and loved him. So,
I wonder if some of his merchandise is going to go for more. I probably have to hit up some secondhand stores now to see if the prices have sprung up a little bit after his death. So, we'll see.
That's a good tribute to him, though, if they do.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's a life. 93, full of love and success and art and beauty.
Long, full life.
How can you can't beat it.
Yeah.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up the worldview. England's LGBTQ plus fan group boycotts the 2026 World Cup over U.S. safety fears. England's official LGBTQ plus England supporters group, the Three Lions Pride, says it will boycott the 2026 Men's World Cup, citing what it calls a dangerous rollback of human rights in the United States. The group says the tournament once felt safe for queer fans, but that's hope, that's optimism, is well and truly shattered. Pointing out to anti-LGBTQ plus policies, travel restrictions, and safety concerns, especially for trans fans. The group says it will support fans remotely, but it has no visible presence at the tournament. To hear those words about the United States that, there's travel bans and people aren't safe, it just breaks my heart. People, you need to wake up, people. This is ridiculous. We can't have this going on. And I don't know what to say on this. I mean, it's just crazy that this is 2026 and people are afraid to come to our country.
39 countries have a travel ban or restrictions on visa to the United States. 39 countries are making it difficult or impossible to come here because they're afraid for their people. That is a damning statement. There are more than at least 8, but I think more than 8 countries that are pledging to defend Greenland from who? The United States. Our NATO allies are protecting our NATO ally from us. That is insane. And so there's now this boycott. Keep it coming. Boycotts, travel bans, do whatever you can. Because if nothing else, it's a statement. It's bearing witness. This is wrong, and we're going to speak up about it being wrong. And if it actually puts some pressure on us to do right, then all the better.
It's definitely having a chilling effect on people coming from all over the world. I definitely, if I was a citizen of the European Union or anywhere else for that matter, I would think twice about, coming into this country in this moment. Because as an American, I feel, somewhat safe with my privilege, but I have to say, if you're a foreigner, coming into this country, you don't know if you're going to be put in detention. You don't know if you're going to be able to see a judge. You don't know what exactly is planned for you if you're coming into this country, and that's really scary when rule of law breaks down in a society. We're definitely in the roaring 20s. In terms of just what's going on. I heard some commentary the other day that said. It feels like we're in World War II approaching, but actually this is more like World War I with the alliances and the wanting to buy or take over Greenland and, all of these, alliances with people that are, going to defend themselves. It's just, it seems like I'm off topic, but it's all related. It's all a powder keg of craziness. And I just want to wake up from this nightmare. So, I wish somebody would just pinch me and let me know that this isn't really where we are. But unfortunately, I haven't woken up yet because we're still here.
But whether it's people refusing to perform at, the Kennedy Center, that's what it's...
You mean the Trump Kennedy Center?
So whether people are refusing to perform there, or the sports club boycotting an event, or NATO standing up to one of its founding members, or whatever. These things are super important.
Right.
And so one little act of resistance at a time, they add up. They'll make a difference. Don't give up.
And thank you to the Three Lions for standing up for what you believe in.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that's out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of gay stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Bishop Durrell Watkins, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Will Haas and Brian Bender. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you a good night.